Hello everyone, I'm so happy to welcoming you to this course GS170 titled as you see Introduction to Computers. This course is what is known as a literacy course. In other words, just getting to know with this subject. And of course that I'm sure some of you are very knowledgeable about the computers and some of you may be barely using it. And some of you have a very limited knowledge and always wanting to know more about the computer. So this course, even if we are not going to cover everything about the computer, that's impossible. Nevertheless, I want to make you more familiarize yourself and also they feel friendly with the computer. Instead of an enemy, computer is our friends. So that's the whole purpose of this course. So my name is Chung Lee. I'm a professor and the instructor of this class. Today's agenda, what we're going to cover today is actually the general orientation because this is a first class. And then after that, they will talk about the first subject that is Introduction to Computers. This course orientation wise that a little bit about what is this course about and about the instructor. That's myself, and I want to introduce myself. Am I qualified to teach this course? Something like that. Then about your responsibilities. So we'll talk about that. Then the first subject is Introduction to Introduction. This is introduction class, and why do we need introduction? Well, we need a very, very general statement. So definitions and the what, how, why, when this computer came, and very important is that what is the advantage of computer? Then is it just a utopia that computer being really just a beneficiary to us? No, not necessarily, maybe. So this is the part that we're going to cover. So when we look at it, then the major contents of this course is in the syllabus. So it is the part of the syllabus. The syllabus can be found at this location. If you type up this one, or if you have a smartphone and have your barcode reader app installed, then just scan this, and I'm sure that you have been using this on a lot, QR code, what is called, then you will be directed to a directory where all the necessary files, including textbooks and the syllabus and this PPT, and the further material that I'm gonna add up as we progress with this course. So that's where you can find all the material, and I always keep it up to date. And myself is the instructor, and then the contents of coverage and course requirements. I'll just briefly talk about that. So first of all, this is first page of a syllabus. So if you look at that file, it is a pretty lengthy file because the university requires a certain format to be included for the whole syllabus. And then the only thing there is that originally I intended for Thursdays, but of course it doesn't matter that we are conducting class offline, and the recording on PPT and they convert it to video file and go to YouTube. So the time is not exactly the matter, but nevertheless that is a kind of a schedule. And then I have no office hour as in now, but please, whenever you have questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, or problem, or just some questions about the computer, even if that's not a true subject of what we are covering on that week or so, please let me know. So easiest way is going through this email address. Then I'll respond it as soon as possible, and if necessary, then I'll try to contact you on the phone if you prefer, or we can make some teleconference with a certain time slot together. So office hour or the hour working together, that will be by appointment. Then when everything is normalized or the pandemic is over and we can continue our contact the face-to-face, then we will definitely change this mode. About myself, my name is Chang Lee. I'm a PhD in biological area. Originally, I had my bachelor and master from Korea in biological field. Then I went to the USA and continued on studying at the Michigan State University and then postdoctoral at the UCLA, and mostly biology, but later I studied more on the statistics and then computers. So I have been appointed as a professor of computer science at the Cal Poly Pomona. Some of you may know this university, some may not, but this is in Pomona there. There's a northern part of Southern California. And there I've been teaching various courses and doing researches and directing students for 30 years. Then I retired in 2010 and went to Mongolia as a missionary and taught there in the course of the computer science in Mongolia. Then during my tenure at the Cal Poly Pomona, I worked for the JPL, the NASA JPL. You know these days that they talk about those, the Mars project and the Endeavour or some the landing projects. Also that I worked at the Rockwell International that they built a B-1 bomber and the space shuttle. Then they changed they merged with Boeing Aerospace, so now it is Boeing. Then, so my specialty, well, because that the Cal Poly Pomona is more of a teaching university, though it also emphasized the researches that I had teaching various subjects. And for 30 years, about 40 years of my teaching tenure, I taught quite a few different courses. So one of the majority of my the energy went to software engineering and computer security. I will talk about this part a lot because right now, one of the most concern of the computerized world is the security, privacy, and violation of private the information, things like that. So this is a very important subject, and this university is trying to get a special program for the security specialist to train. Then also computer vision, that the camera is so cheap. Everybody has a very powerful camera. Your cell phone, your smartphone is a great camera, much better resolution than good old days of very expensive cameras. Then there are many things are captured, but the machine cannot read it, cannot understand it. So computer these days does a wonderful job by the taking pictures, then right away recognize your face, your fingerprint, or the scenery, or enemy position, things like that. So computer vision is a very exciting and interesting subjects, especially it's being used in medical field for the benefit of human beings. Then bioinformatics, I told you that originally I was in biological the area, therefore my specialty, the specialty and the major. So biology plus computer science is known as bioinformatics. So when there is a chance, I'll just briefly talk about what is going on that field. But for example, your DNA sequencing and finding out who's your real parents, so on, or the in crime scene that by DNA sequences or gene that finding out who would be the suspect, and even further that when we have this virus or some disease, then how we can find the vaccine or some other cure. So that those kind of information and those kind of the basic data being collected and analyzed in this field. Okay, so that's me. So I've been teaching over 40 years, but the teaching on recording is not very happy experience. Usually I want to interact with you face to face. But anyway, this is the best way we can do. So I'll continue on. And this is our textbook. So I have 3 references they're suitable for this kind of class. Actually, there are hundreds of the books that are relevant to, and the very recent ones. But for these courses, I chose this book, the last one. That's Faith Weapons, the 2015 version. Nevertheless, it's detailed enough and up-to-date enough. But most important, this is freely available as a PDF format. So you actually have a copy of it. There's no problem that this is no illegal thing. These days, the publishers allow their books being available on the electronic version. So like you can read the books on the electronic way. So similar idea that this book is freely available, legally available by this PDF format. So I secured that, and it is in this our material book location. So when you got a chance that you can type up, you don't have to type https:// but when you can just click directly, then you can work it. When you got the syllabus online, and you can click it directly, or if not, then you just type up bit.ly/3 and all those exactly same manner. This one turned out to be very long, the name or long address, but this is called the URL shortening, the way to make it simpler so that you can handle the access and control easy. Okay, so this is our book, and the cover page looks like that. So there's a blue color and the Faith Weapon, and it is published by Wiley. Wiley and the Sons are very famous publisher, which has numerous professional books and college textbooks. So usually their quality is very high. They do very careful editing and updating and fact checks. So I like this publisher, and I looked through this book. Even if there can be something we can add more, nevertheless, it is sufficient for our purpose. Okay, so course content. What does that mean is that throughout this semester, that I expect there will be about 8 or 9 sessions like this. That's the policy of the university, and the contents will be more like overview. That's what we are having today, and then hardware components and the software component. I'm sure that you heard about hardware and the software. If not, or even if you heard about it, we'll cover that. As a matter of fact, that the understanding or knowing about the computer is knowing about hardware and software, especially software. their knowledge of hardware is important, but software is more important. Part of software is what you know about Windows. So I'm sure you are using Windows. Some of you may use Mac or the Android devices, or the Unix or Linux devices, but mostly the Windows is the most popular one. So that's what Bill Gates become rich, Microsoft. Then there are some, the whole bunch of application software, including this PowerPoint software and Word, Excel, and then graphics software, your email software. All those things are actually known as application software. I'll explain that a little more. Most popular and commonly used one, of course, is that Office suite. So Office suite means suite usually in the hotel or in the office building. That the suite means that there are more than one room, more than one function. So this Office suite usually contains, used to be just a Word and then Excel and then the PowerPoint, PPT. Then there used to be the Access for database and then Exchange. A whole bunch of those software working together as a one group, and their contents are interchangeable. So this makes whole usage and operation very convenient and very productive, very fast. Then very important these days, I say important very, very a lot, but that's the nature. There's very important things are listed here. Network communication. So connection is so important. So things are not isolated. In other words, good old days, you had only your own computer and the world is that computer. Not anymore. Whole thing is open in the world, really. Whole world is one family through the internet. So your smartphone, your cell phone that is, smartphone is also connecting to the world. If the phone cannot connect with others, then that's useless. Of course, you cannot call anybody. You cannot check the message. You cannot send or receive social media, the messages like the Facebook or the Twitters. So that's useless without the connection. And to do the connection, that it must be communication concepts or the technology. So that's the part that we'll touch on. So this is so important and very useful. Then I talked about that internet security and privacy. When old days, all the telephone had the wires were connected. So it's a little easier to control or manage. But these days, everything is wireless. Everything go around the air. So the room that you are sitting on now, or maybe you are walking around, then your street that you are walking on is filled with those communication signals up and down, and the left, right, the front and the back. So those things are actually receivable by anybody. The question is that how would you make that only those who are intended to receive will get the message, and those who are not supposed to be left out from the understanding that message. So that internet security and privacy is so important. Networking is become so much widespread. So this security part is also very important. So I have been teaching the internet security course a lot. And here you may understand it or not, but the cryptography is like making your message scrambled or coded, like a secret. So it's a scent, but for general people, it's a garbage. You don't understand. It's all gabbled the messages. But when it is gone through proper channel and the proper processing, then it'll get to original message back. That's what I have been specializing the cryptography of, among others, on the security. So when we got a chance, I'll list that, cover a little bit and introduce you. Then very important, again, is that social and ethical issue of computerized society. And about 20 years ago, that before the 2000 year 2000, the ACM, that is the ACM is a Association of Computing Machinery. That is more of a computer science, the parents of computer science teaching research, that they recommended that every computer professional must have some training on ethical issues and their responsibility issues be taught during their college time, so that they can use this the computer more responsibly. Do you know that the lawyers and the doctors are also they're getting this kind of training? Reason being that their impact or their power has a more influence to the others. So it is important that they have an ethical mind. They don't use this one for their own benefit or personal gain, but rather think about the public and use this one for public good rather than myself. So the idea of the social and the ethical issue is something like sometimes you hear about the netiquette. So you need an etiquette in using networks, and don't offend others, don't disturb others, don't make other people just lose their the data or their data stolen. Anything like that kind of a bad behavior. That's the idea about this making social and ethical issues on computerized society. So this is also very important, and the last chapter of that book is the textbook is talking about this social and ethical issues. Okay, so that's more of an orientation. So I will start talking about today's the subject, introduction to introduction, and it's more like what is computer, why is a computer, and how it is came up. Those kind of the general statement. So this one, introduction to course overview, goals like that. And then again, this I write this one. So as I say, you have this PDF file, and you click this one on the computer, then it'll lead you to the place where the all the files about this textbook and PowerPoints and any other reference sources will be stored there. So just keep this designation as long as possible. So chapter 1 of the book talks about the understand the information system, and then understand computer types and the software comparisons and how computers communicate. This is really introduction to introduction. In previous page, I just gave you overview of what kind of subject we are going to cover, and that part we just here covering very, very quickly in kind of a general views, and I usually call that bird's eye view, the top aerial view of a big, small one. When you search it through the Google Earth or Google Map, then depending on how you make resolution, you may see a whole Earth in one screen, or you go deep detail to your street, your house. That's kind of a detail. So this is a very general view of a computer. Okay, let's go to the next one. And something, your responsibility is that there is always some kind of a reading assignment. So please read that reading assignment. Some elementary questions. This is to cover the first subjects, that is thing about the what is computer, that introduction to computer, that in elementary question is better be stated by asking questions. What is computer? So you may think if it is in the class, then I would solicit your answers. What is computer? Well, computer is computer. You say, well, it's so obvious. Why bother? And what you see in here, this is a computer. Why do you ask? But actually, it is. It isn't. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it isn't. Not enough. That is. So, computer has a certain the principle, basic the definition, the basic purposes. So that is very essential, the portion of the computer itself. So we'll look at that. So what is computer? Think about it. They answer just like, oh, the monitor, keyboard, or the box, or the internet. Yes and no. There's a part of it, but not quite. It's a Windows and the Office. Is that computer? Not really. Then how about all of them? Yeah, it's more like it. That's the idea. But what is that? What, in one word, what does it do? So you will see in the next page. Then what are the components of a computer system? In other words, computer is the functioning, not alone, not one component, but many parts working together. Think about any machine you have, either your home appliance or your the gadgets or electronic the tools, anything like that. Is it made of just a simple the rod or some the disc? Of course not. It has many parts combined together. Even simple toy for the kids, they are made of many different parts, and they are working, they combined or assembled together, and in the combination they do the work. So that is known as a system. So computer is like that. It's not just one thing, but many things working together. Please remember this important concept, that computer is a system, not just an individual device or equipment. Of course, it is a tool. It is something, some machinery or some kind of a man-made things that making our lives better. Nevertheless, it is really the component, the many component, and they're working together. That component we are talking about here. Then what are the functions of this component? What are they and what are they doing? That's the idea. Again, this is a literacy course, and when people are asking that, oh, you know about the computer, so what is that? And then you should be able to answer that without hesitation or without ambiguity. Okay. Then when did the computer arrive to our lives? So when was it? What's the history of a computer? Do you know that even 100 years ago, less than 100 years ago, about 80 years ago, there was a job or the profession called computer. Computer meant to be person. So like carpenter, baker, something with the ER is people doing it. So what does that do? Is that somebody usually a lot of ladies, because the ladies are more patient than guys, but anyway, they sit in the big room with their own table. all day long they were doing computing, calculation, like how those trajectory of some machines, there was some kind of bullets or the electric bills. This calculation they were doing all day long. So computer was a person doing computing. Now the computer, nobody thinks it's a human. It is a machinery or some kind of a man-made equipment. But not only just an equipment, it has many components working together. That's why that this is a computer changed the world. And when did it happen? So we'll talk about, you heard about industrial revolution of many generation. That's what it is. I don't have time to go all the detail, even if that's a very interesting subject. But at least that I'll just give a general guideline. Then why computers so useful? We say, well, it's doing so wonderful job and fast and seems to be making no mistakes, no errors like that. So yes, that's all correct. So we can kind of organize the concept of the benefits in some kind of words. So we'll talk about that. And then any negative aspect is always there's a good part and bad part. In general, that there's usually the balancing. So cars, for example, the car is so convenient, so everybody uses every day, unless you're staying home. So we know that this one really helps us in saving our time, energy, and we can be more productive. We can have more joy, fun, things like that. But at the same time, there are a lot of accidents, losing their lives, or they got injured. So that's a negative aspect. Well, of course, the negative aspect is so small compared to the benefit that we say nobody will say, oh, because of that, they get rid of all the car. Of course, instead, then they will make the car as safe and less accident prone as possible. But there is always a positive and the negative aspects. Computer, yes, that has also benefit, but at the same time, there's some negative aspect. But in terms of comparison, we know for sure that the benefits outweighs way bigger than its drawbacks. Okay. All right, so let's go with the answers. I hope you stop the video and think about the answers for at least about a minute and come back. So what is computer? You may be surprised that the true definition is an information processing system. Ooh, what is that? In here, information is some knowledge, something, facts and ideas usually we call, something we know about, something worth knowing about, some valuable kind of facts or ideas, or some existence. Then processing is making some desirable changes or conversion. So for example, let me give that example that the cryptography I said. So I want to send, so in the cryptography there's Alice and Bob here. So Alice is sending some kind of the message. So hey Bob, I want to meet you tonight at 5 o'clock, or I want to send $5 million to you, or something like that. That message, but no, we don't want anybody, or they don't want that the message being understood by anybody else. So Alice will change that. I will, well, I'll say meet at 5, just a short one. Then, and they want to send it, but we don't want this one be sent as it is. So if you use this one, then at least is this message sent to some kind of a so-called the encryption algorithm. Then this one come out as a XPTG 3156 like that. I don't know what that means. So anybody sees this one, but nobody can understand it. But somehow that it goes to another function. So Bob receives it and then change that on into certain function. Then it gives with a mid at 5. So it's going back. But so from one form, it is changing to another form. From that form, that list that we can preserve the message, or some other form we can do. So that kind of changing the data, changing the information. For some way that if we got a whole bunch of number and convert that on into the shape or some picture, that is a great form of processing. So computer graphics does that. So information is some kind of facts and ideas. So think about this one as the data, some kind of useful information, and then it's being changed. Some kind of it's more like a cooked. When you have a flour and the sugar and the water mix up and do baking, and you got a pizza or some bake the bread, that kind of a changing form, something more useful hopefully is called the processing. Then system, multiple units are working together for same goal is the system. Sorry that I had a typo here. This is same. So the multiple units working together for same goal is a system. So information processing system is more like you have not the flour, not the sugar, not the water, but some kind of knowledge, some kind of facts, and some kind of ideas that convert into certain form and then make into something better or some different form. In doing so, that we need many components, many parts working together. So here, what are the components? Then of course it's hardware. So it's devices. So what you touch, what you look is hardware. It's a touchable. It can be the holdable. It can be carryable. So it is called hard. It's like a hard surface or something. Some of them a little bit soft, but still not something you see. Usually we give a word tangible. On the other hand, software is just an idea, just kind of concept. So instruction. So do this and do that. So I'll explain this the concept over and over, but the hardware is some kind of electromechanical devices. They don't have a soul. They cannot think. They can have any logic. Well, they have a logic, but not much of the detailed logic as we like. So software will be giving them proper instructions so that they can convey. They means that software, hardware together can convey human instruction into some kind of outcomes. That's what it is. Then data itself is a target information in processable form. So we say that the fact and the ideas as an information, but then may not be easy to process. Say, oh, I like it. That's a little hard to the process in terms of the computer system. With the advances in the artificial intelligence, then may be processable to some degree, but still not as good as the human beings. We are ambiguous. We are not specific enough. So computer, this machine wants something more detailed, concrete, objective, no the room for the different interpretation, just factual. So it must be in processable form and the target information of that. So these are three major things of the component. Then textbook also lists. Usually I used to say hardware, software, and the user. Then these days that become a little bit fuzzed up because of software and hardware all contains human parts in there. So the the people and the procedure, those things are still the part of the computer component. Okay. Second answer, that when did the computer arrive to our lives? That's around the 1980s. 1980s, as known as third generation industrial revolution. That is in the next page, some diagram, but I couldn't fit that one over here, so they postpone these issues for just a second. Then why computers so useful? So as they said that you will say that, oh, computers are so fast and they're never making mistakes and things like that. But here, so remember as a saver, S-A-V-E-R. That's my design, so to speak, but people can't think about it. So S, of course, is the speed, fast. So how fast? Really fast. Then how fast? In 1 second, it can do the processing. This is most recent in year 2020-21, that it has a 5 to the 7 gigahertz. That is that you can have 5 to 7 billion, depending on the chip. There's 7 billion instructions in 1 second. Think about it. 1 billion is the 1 followed by 9 zeros. That's a lot of the power, very fast, really. So you see that something is in computer, some the computation, most of the computation are really instantaneous. It doesn't even take the millions of a second. So like that, one's done. Then it never make the mistake. So this is accurate. Then it can handle huge volume of data to process. So speed and accuracy and volume. This is with the help of hardware. So processor got faster. Accuracy is always the 100%, but there used to be a little bit of the electronic problem, then causing some problem, but not anymore. The volume, the storage space gets so cheap. I'll talk about that, the history. The old days it was very expensive. Now it's cheap and fast to access data. So huge amount of volume. Well, when you can handle 5 to 7 billion operations per second, how much data you can process? Something it will take forever for you, it takes just a split seconds. Then efficiency. We can make our program or our operation very, very efficiently. So same job you can do very slowly, or same job you can do very quick. So that's the efficiency. Then you don't like doing things over, the repetition, you don't like it. So no repetition here. Or, I mean, it's actually repetition is done by machine. You don't have to worry about doing yourself. So SAVER, in a way, identifies the kind of characteristics that gives the advantage of a computer over the human computer. About when did it arrive? That is the Industrial Revolution by generation in here. So the Industrial Revolution, you heard about that, the steam engine, and the second generation is the electricity. Then third generation in 1969 that they started, but this one really flourished in 1980 when PC, personal computer, become very popular and affordable. Money is the main issue. So that time it costed about $1,000. So good old days, computer you cannot own it or not even they use it. It usually costed $1 million, a lot of money. Not anymore. So it's so fast. One made it so cheap. well, mass production, but also technology like a IC chip that can make it smaller and mass production. So this 69 is when the third generation industrial revolution occurred. Sometimes I just say, some people say it, but not official. 3.5 generation is internet. Around a little later than this, so 1980s, 90s, that internet becomes so much popular. So the internet or this networking, and of course that World Wide Web. Those things are getting very popular, very widespread, and the necessary devices were invented, manufactured, and sold in low cost. So everybody could afford those connections. So I'm sure that all of you have your router and the internet connection, Wi-Fi systems in your home. Right now, it is a fourth generation industrial revolution, so it's called a cyber physical system. I'll talk about this one when we get a chance in the later lectures. Okay, another subject that deals with or that relevant to us is that the type of computer. So I'm just following the classification of the book. There are different ways it can be done, but I like this one. A little modification as I like it. So desktop, palm top. That is a desktop is what it is being known. It's big enough so you can carry easy. So that's the stay on the desk. Then laptop. That's it can be small enough. Things like this that can be on your lap. Then this one so small that this one is the least that you need your leg or the lap, but this one just a palm, your hand, good enough. So a palm top can be either tablet like this or the smartphone. Smartphone is a computer, and believe me that the smartphone you have, even if that's not pretty, the new model like the Android or the iPhone 3 or 4, that's much more powerful computer, maybe 1,000 times more the powerful computer than the big computer that existed in the 1970s or the 80s, like that. Then wearables. So these days people started wearing things. So this is wearable. Or some of you have a smart watch that's wearing it, just carrying around. So this may be pocket time, maybe you may say. So there's wearing it, and you can just talk about, and you can communicate. You can get the message in and out like that. So that's a personal computer. It's more of individualized, but it's all connected to the world via networking or the communication devices. The multi-user, the computer, the bigger one, that's a supercomputer. This is a crazy supercomputer. That's something expensive but very fast. So if we got a chance, we'll talk about some of this, the logic of this Cray computer. And the mainframe, there's a big computer, is usually called the mainframe computer. And the smaller sizes, that about those sizes, but big, the whole computer is called a mini computer. But this mini computer the frame is getting outdated because computer gets so advanced with a compact and powerful, more capacity. So no point of having a whole house or whole room full. So rather that it looks like a desktop, at least a desktop, but it is being used for connecting everybody. So it is known as a server. So it serves the computing need. In technical terms, that's the client and the server model. What does that mean is that it's just like a utility. you don't have your own water, water purifying system in your house, or your gas system. Some of you may have, but then the electricity you don't generate yourself. So it is all done by big company, and you are just using it. Same thing. That's one big company having all those computing power, and you borrow it whenever you need it. That's a more the useful. Cable system for your TV is a similar idea. Then something recently and in the future will be given something known as a quantum computer. This one will be extremely fast, and then whole the field of computing will change because of this quantum computer. The software can be classified into two groups. One is system software, and the other one is application software. So this one is more like a helping user, or helping helping user to access the computer. Then application software is something you are using for some kind of purposes. This difference is something of the our coverage for the future classes. So I'll just skip this. Then the information, the presentation at the toward the end of the chapter is talking about it. I don't know what is how much we can cover, or you can digest in here. But one thing it is that all those numbers that used in the computer system is a binary. It's a 0 or 1. So 0 is 0, 1 is 1, but 2 is that let me go to the decimal system. You got a 1, 2, 3. You begin from nothing to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. After 9, one more than what it is. It is 10, isn't it? So you begin with a 0, nothing, and 1, 2, 3 to 9, and one more. Then you have no more number to go. So you go another digit. So it becomes 110. In binary system, it is going much quicker. So 0, 0, 0, 1, then 1, 0, 1, 1, things like that. Then it's 1, 0, 0. Anyway, this is the binary system. By the time that you finish this course, you'll be very familiarized with the binary system, and the field say, oh, that's easy. Then there's a byte. So one position like that is called the bit, and you put 8 of those, then goes to the byte, and the one word is 4 byte. Well, this one is a little too much technical, so it's not fit to introduction, so I'll pass it. Then inside the computer, sometimes, very often, some people still call engine. It's the leftover of those industrial revolution of first generation. There, everything was called the engine. So computer, when first conception or first designed in 1800s. Of course, that computer is not surviving today, but that kind of a computer, then all the computers are called the engine. So analytic engine was the name. But anyway, it's more like an engine. Horsepower was in here. So whole thing is called the motherboard, and there's a main processor, and some memory goes depending on, but usually go here. We don't have that module. Then there's something connecting here, 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 all over the place. It's more like a headquarters, and a lot of those wires connecting, a lot of cards come in and out, that kind of connectivity here. So network connection, and the external drives and the I/O devices like that. Okay, just the last bit. There are many negative aspects. So over-reliance, that is that if you use this electronic system too much, then you are not thinking. So it's called the digital dementia. So you don't memorize anything. To be honest, how many phone numbers do you remember? Maybe very little, 1 or 2 maybe. Yours and maybe your immediate families. Old days that it was very common that we memorized at least 10 phone numbers. Some people were memorizing like 30, 40 phone numbers, and right away they could use it. Not anymore. So it is all the reliance to the machine, too much dependent on. So that's okay while it is everything is running fine. But once, whatever reason you cannot use this computer system, then you don't know what to do. So that's the problem. But more important and serious is that the security of data and the privacy problem. So I kind of talked about this one before. So we don't want, because of the computer gets so easy, so fast and so easy to snoop in. So the security become real big issues, and it goes all over into air. So anybody can catch somebody else's data with their devices, and they can they understand it, and then we got a big trouble. That's the idea. Then we got a job issues. I'm sure many of you are worried about your job issues. So we'll think about that. There are some other issues about it. Then obligation to catch up. Things that keep changing, so you got to catch it up. So that's a cost and expense and some kind of anxieties there. Then addiction. That's another big, especially young generation. So social media, they spend just doing this, and the game, gambling, and porn. Those kind of the negative, contents become their daily chores. So that's no good. Then underground criminal society, they are flourishing over web. Okay, when done all those detail, then it may take another half an hour or another hour, but our time is up. I intended to stop at about an hour. So this is end of the first the session and the first chapter coverage. So by all means, please check on your textbook and read that through. It is a very easy reading. You can just flip through and see what they are talking about in the first chapter of the textbook. Okay, thank you. And this is end of it. Next time they will start talking about hardware. So the hardware components and what are they and what are the function of it. And if there's any wonderful story that's worth it, then I'll talk about it. So, okay, thank you and have a nice day. Bye.